Why, hello there, and welcome to the stream. This is Roll for Question, a stream where a veteran DM offers to answer any questions you might have about Dungeons and Dragons. And in the meantime, I'm just going to have a little chat about economies in D&D. Now, this isn't really a question that new players bring up. This is a question that I see intermediate level DMs and veteran DMs grapple with from time to time, because it's just if you take a look at economies deep enough, you start to see some holes in the system. You start to wonder, is the system actually good? Hi, hello, Redacronine and Minty. Welcome to the stream. Good to have y'all. If you take a look at equipment, just at a glance, it looks fine. I should make this bigger. I always make that mistake. Most of the prices in here work. They just work. Are they great? No. Are they something I'd stand by? No. But they work. You can get a game going. But if you really think about it, like a quarterstaff costs 2 silver versus a great club costs 2. The more you look at this stuff, the more you can make it not make sense. You can run into a situation where you're like, okay, let me see, how much do peasants make? Hiring a peasant costs, I don't know, it costs not enough money. Food costs more money than that. How do peasants eat? You run into situations like you can find holes in this in the economy system in the book. And is that bad? Is that a problem? Let's think about it. So, first, I'm going to put it out there that the D&D economy in the book kind of functions like a video game economy, where it's there for the players to spend money and to get rid of to free up their inventory in a way that doesn't take a lot of thought, and it does not take a lot of brain power from the game to function. So you have 500 gold. What can you do with it? That is a static, constant answer. No matter what, you can buy 10 healing potions with that. You can buy 100 swords with that. You can buy half of a full plate or a third of a full plate. That doesn't change. And when you've got an economy set up like that, you can work with it. You can pace your game based off of structures like that. But what if that wasn't the case? Is there a reason that healing potions cost 50 gold? Could they cost instead 40 gold? Would that change anything? What if they cost 60 gold? Would that change anything? I'm a newbie GM wishing to host a PTU game using Roll20. I don't know which character sheet would be better. Just read it. Okay. In Roll20, the character sheet, I think, is there more than one? I've only seen one character sheet in Roll20, and it's the 5th edition one, the one with the character mancer in it. So I don't know what options there are. I've never actually seen. The base one, the default one, I guess, is pretty good. I would go with that. There's P2 and there's P2 V2. I would go with the V2 then, because it's the number's bigger. It's probably better. I couldn't tell you the difference. I couldn't tell you. I didn't even know there were 2. So, I'm not a fan of the character mancer personally, and every player that I've played with doesn't use it. But if you just make a character sheet on your own, it's pretty good. I have no complaints. It could be better. It's not magic like D&D Beyond is. You have to do all the work, filling everything out, and go through these steps yourself. But if you do that, it's fine. It's functional. Yeah, economy-wise, these numbers are completely arbitrary, and they're completely arbitrary in a way that you can mess with it, and the game still works fine. If healing potions Gonna get to healing potions really quickly. I didn't practice this at all, and maybe I should have. If you can get to healing potions, cost 50 gold. They're not under invention gear, are they? Are they under magic items? Where are healing potions? They're definitely okay. Control F, healing, potion of healing. All right, 50 gold. Could they be 60 gold? Could they be 40 gold? Sure. I don't think that would affect the game that much. Would it matter if this was a number that adjusted with supply and demand? Sure. I don't think that would affect the game that much. You could do that. The fact that it's nailed down like this is it's just there for it's just there for ease of use, really, for the DM and for players to interact with. So if this number was flexible, it could go from 40 to 60. And let's say that it was based on like a die roll. Like, okay, every time the players go into town, roll a d20, add it to 40. That's the price of healing potions. Does that drive the game to be more fun? And does that set us up in a situation where the players are playing the game as we intend? So what we don't want to happen is we set up an economic system like that, and then we say, okay, healing potions are 55 gold today. Players say, okay, let's come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Okay, healing potions are 56 gold. Okay, let's come back. Let's just keep coming back until it's 41 gold or 40 gold or whatever. Is that the kind of game we want to drive? If we set up a complex economic engine, way more complex than just roll a d20 in that, do we set something up that encourages the players to play the game as we want it to be played, as this in a way that's fun? And that is a hard problem to solve, and that's partly why the economy is set up like a video game economy, because putting the work of making it more complicated on the DM is not going to really accomplish much in terms of moving the game forward at the table. So if we wanted to, what we could do, we could think about this a little more, and that would increase the enjoyment for us as the DM. But for the players, the only way that we're really going to make the economy really matter is if we completely from the ground up make our own game, slap it on top of this game, or just make our own game and just play that instead of Dungeons and Dragons. Is that good? Is that a satisfying answer? I mean, it'd be cool. I can't think of a game that isn't an economic game that is like, oh boy. Oh, thank you for the follow. I can't think of a game that is not an econ game that has a really good economic engine that, like, this game wouldn't be fun without that engine. I mean, there probably are games like that out there, but because the DM is the one running everything, that kind of limits how far we can mechanic up what an economic engine would look like. Okay. Let's think about gold for a second. So gold makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to us as a DM and the player what it is. It's a currency. We have currency in real life. We can directly map like dollars or euros or whatever currency directly to gold coins, and it makes perfect sense. You spend this currency, you get things. How much currency do you spend? How do you get currency? By earning it. How do you earn it in game? Probably by doing quests. That's really the only way the game rewards it. Theoretically, you could also get it by like stealing it or I don't know, convincing the DM that if you roll a 20, you should get free currency. By and large, you get gold by earning it. It's a currency. We don't need to worry about anything beyond that. We don't need to worry about like exchanges. We don't need to worry about like banking or any. It's a currency. Spend it, and we're good. What is an errata for PTU? I don't know what that means. I have no idea. I mean, an errata is just changing the rules officially, changing the words. So it could mean anything. We have gold. We have other coins too, but all of those other coins are just fractions of gold. I'm not going to think about them that much. We don't have to worry about like we take a gold piece to a shop, and the shop is like, we don't take gold pieces here. We don't have to worry about that. Gold works everywhere. It's the same value everywhere. It's the same. Every gold coin is the same gold coin. So like if you go into a 1,000-year-old dungeon and you find 1,000-year-old currency, it's still good. We don't care. It works. Spend it out of town. And why does that work? Because it works in real life. Does it work in real life? No, but it works in real life. You can spend currency anywhere. You can spend old currency as long as it's still backed. You can still spend it anywhere. So what does that mean? That means that I lost my train of thought. Gold is gold. Gold is good. Its purpose, you get gold and you immediately think, I can spend this. I can spend this to get full plate armor. I can go buy some healing potions, and that's it. There's probably other things you can buy with gold, but I don't think that's what most people buy with gold. They buy full plate, healing potions, I guess guns now. There's probably like something to do with bastions you can spend money on. Is that fine? I think that's fine. I don't think we need to mess with gold. We don't need to mess with the currency. This is if I wanted to build up an economic system, this is where I would start. I don't think you need to mess with this, but the purpose of gold, the purpose of currency is to be a tangible store of value. And gold and currency in real life is not fixed. So if we want, we could carry that over into this system as well if we wanted to. If we wanted to start somewhere. Context, I'm making a Pokemon game. Gens of the regions, the games which have in the D&D game is many of them. Plus, I mean, that sounds cool. Agrees for those new custom mons. I will still do the region just for those homebrewed mons. I mean, that sounds cool. I don't know how you build that into the character sheet. I think you'd have to. There's a notes section in Roll20 for the character sheet. I think anything that doesn't fit in the character sheet already, you put in the notes section, and then go from there. Unless you want to do something where like you capture a Pokemon and you put it in your inventory, or you put it in your spells. I don't know. You could do that. The Roll20 character sheet for D&D is pretty fixed. It's there is some connective logic going on behind the scenes, so it doesn't lend itself to homebrew super well. I do know there's a way to make a custom character sheet. I don't know how to do it, and I don't know if there's a good tutorial on how to do it. If you are very keen on making something custom, that might be the way to go. Although, if you're making something from scratch, maybe Roll20 is not the best tabletop, virtual tabletop to be using for that. I'm not sure. How should I best tackle remaking the regions and the maps for them? Drawing maps is not my strong suit. I've done it on stream before. You've seen my artistic qualities, so it's just me drawing in paint. So I wouldn't say I'm a good person to approach on how do I draw good, but you just draw. You just draw good. I mean, I don't use paint. I use GIMP, but the quality of the art that has come out of that has been paint quality. I think I can just bring it up. One of these, this one. Got it. All right. Where is it? Oh, it's on yeah, like you just draw. That's the best advice I can give on that. One of these regions, Gen 9 plus custom to be available in practical open world for the most part. Whatever you can handle, go for it. It's a lot of work, so there's no shortcut. That's the thing. If you commit yourself to an open world, players can go anywhere. So you've got to plan the whole world, or not the whole world, but like the area around the players. Prep that entire thing as they could go anywhere. So you can't funnel them into a specific location, and then prep just that. Yeah. Evening. Hey, Timothy. How's it going? What was I saying? I was saying we could tinker with currencies. That would be a good starting point if we wanted to make a more complicated economic system where gold is gold, but it's minted in a specific location, and its value depends on where it's minted, and its value also depends on the price of gold that day. So, what order should I do them in? Start with homebrew region, and then do the others at the table. Wish to travel to them. I don't think there's. I mean, start with whatever inspires you the most, and then work from there. Because if there's a starting region, start there, and then go in a circle around and build that out and flesh that out in that direction. If you can kind of gate access to certain areas, if you can say like, okay, the western side of the world is cut off because there's a hurricane or something, then you can just not do that part. You can just leave that part fuzzy, but otherwise, anywhere that the players can go, you have to draw in. And if you don't have a starting location, then just start wherever inspires you the most, and you just start working, because there's no until you run out of drawing capacity, there's no limit. You just started playing Fragmented Minds. Nice. SCP FPS. Nice. Once they clear the main homebrew region, the BBEG will go to other regions to try and conquer legendary mythical Pokemon, and then use those to expand the sky by making the Skylands that will be half destroyed from 2 dimensions, one in each, which they have to split and conquer to beat the BBG in either dimension. Yeah. If you're planning all that out, then you've probably got a basic idea in mind of like where the BBEG will go, and maybe you can start drawing there, and then radiate out from there into the rest of the world, basically. when it comes to prep and it comes to like building out the session, starting where you feel the most inspired is always a good benchmark, because where the inspiration is probably where your best work is as well. So it should build upon itself. Once you get, like, getting started is the hardest part, and once you get started with once you finish the first area, then like the next area is easier, and the next area is easier after that. Especially when you can build on top of each region. You can be like, this region has trade with this region, and there's a war, and they don't like each other, and okay, now I'm inspired to draw a bunch of craters and a bunch of ruins here, and yeah, and so on and so forth. There's a BBG duo, one for each dimension. The puzzles to them at the top half is progression, then the other will reach the top. One BBG good, the other is full bad after they clear the home region. There's a lot planned there. Started Pillars of Eternity the other day as well. Really liking it so far. Nice. Pillars of Eternity is really good. I enjoyed playing that. I won't spoil anything, so I will just say, you get to a certain point, and then it really opens up, and that's when I was like, whoa, I like this. Still getting used to the UL set, though. I think my brain was assuming this was a Baldur's Gate. Is it different from Baldur's Gate? I can't remember. I actually don't remember. BBG teams is called the Team Sky and the Night Sky. Night Sky being the bad ones once the home is cleared off. Nice. A lot to work with. A lot to go on. Yeah, the more you plan, the easier planning gets. So it runs off its own rule set, not AD&D like Baldur's Gate. Oh, that's true. It's not actually D&D. It's adjacent to D&D. Yeah. Generally similar. It's close enough that like they kind of blend together in my mind. I mean, like Baldur's Gate, it's D&D, but it's not perfectly D&D. There are some allowances made because it's a video game. Which is fine. It's totally fine. It's more fun that way. Isometric loveliness, yeah. They need to get about a little more than 1/3 of the gen's legendary Pokemon to complete their goal. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot planning. A lot of planning to do. You must capture 1/3 of all Pokemon, all legendary Pokemon. How many sessions is that going to take? I mean, I've never played in a Pokemon game, but I would expect like catching a legendary Pokemon is like 8 sessions, maybe. Like, it seems like a very important thing you build up to. It's not the kind of thing where you're just like, oh, it's time to go catch a legendary Pokemon. Let me just go walk 300 feet. There it is. Like, no, it's gonna be a trial. It's gonna be a challenge. You gotta track that sucker down, and you gotta chase it, and then you gotta, final fight. I don't know though. I've never been in a Pokemon game, so I don't actually know how those go. Getting back to fragmented minds, pretty scary. I haven't played. Catch you later. Have fun. Thanks. You too. Okay. Economies. That's right. Spending money could be the first thing we tinker with, because the price of gold doesn't need to be static. Usually when an economy, like when a city is like in danger, when it's in a crisis or something, prices generally go up. And when they're in a celebration of some kind, when things are good, prices go down. We can reflect that pretty simply. Not much load on the DM to say like, okay, prices here 10% higher, prices there 10% lower. Adds a little more nuance to the economic system without putting a lot of load on the DM. That's an improvement. That's probably good. No complaints there. Can we do better? Probably. These legends include a fish of knowledge, a dino that makes land, a whale that lives in the sea, a sky serpent, a time dino, a space dino. Are these Pokemon? I don't recognize most of these Pokemon. The devil centipede and a lesser mons that are just below all of those. Also life deer, dead eagle, and balanced snake. They are Pokemon, okay. There's a time dino? That fish is custom. Gen 3 Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. Sure. Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Okay. Well, I don't know. I certainly haven't kept up with all the Pokemon, so sure. There's a lot that I don't know. Isn't there like an official, not official? Isn't there like a Pokemon RPG for Pokemon conversion for D&D? Does it have all of the mons in there, including all the legendaries? I could just look that up later. I don't need to ask basic questions about Pokemon that, yeah. All known as Weather Trio, Gen 3, Gen 4 Creation Trio. Yeah, I can look that up later. Balanced Trio, which is Life Deer and Dead Eagle, and Balanced Snake, I said earlier. Okay. Gen 6 is Balanced Trio. Okay. Got it. Okay. So back to economies. Back to money. So if we make it so that like a market has like a multiplier or a plus or a minus to all prices, that we can do that. Does that make the game more fun? I don't know. Maybe it'll make the game more fun from the DM's perspective. I don't see how that would make the game more fun from the player's perspective. To be like, okay, prices here are 10% cheaper. You know, players may appreciate that, but do they like really glom onto that? Does that inspire the players to be like, all right, My last game was awesome. We went to this town and the prices were 10% cheaper. Like, I don't think that happens. I don't think players get excited about prices being cheaper like that. I could be wrong, but I think that's something more for the DM that tickles the DM's brain more than the player's brain. And to make the players excited, I'm not entirely sure if there's anything small we can do. Like, we could set up a situation where prices here are cheaper, prices in the next town are more expensive, and the players realize, okay, if we buy a lot of stuff here and we go to the next town and we sell it, we'll get a lot of money. If we keep doing that over and over and over, we will exploit this system that the DM has made. And the DM may not appreciate that, but we as players appreciate that the DM does not appreciate that, and we'll have fun that way. That could happen. You could create an economic system. There could be a bug in it. The players could exploit it, and the players could be like, haha, we outsmarted the DM. That could be a possibility. I don't know. Pokemon Tabletop United is what I'm trying to use. It's up to Gen 8 and unsupported from the last gen, so I have to homebrew Gen 9. That gen has Time Paradox Mons as well. Okay. Rayquaza, the Gen 3, is the BBG team's mascot. He is a serpent that lives in the Pokeworld's ozone layer. Stops Groudon from fighting and adding land mass water. Okay. Gen 3. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Alright. Yeah. Have you how much of this game have you prepped? I know you haven't drawn the map yet because you were talking about that earlier, but how much is prepped? Like, rubies? Oh yeah. Like none. I'm very baby GM. Ooh, okay. This is your first. Is this your first game? First time running. Because it sounds like you're biting off a ton, and you can do that. That's totally fine. You don't have to do that. It's totally reasonable for your first game to be like, here's one region, here's one legendary. That's the game. You know, make 8 sessions out of that, and then when you find the right group, build up to plan the entire world out. First host game, I've had 3 games as a player, but I don't know, I'm ambitious. It's good to be it's good to be inspired and ambitious, and if you want to do that, go for it. Don't feel obligated. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't feel obligated like I have to do that. You don't. It's totally fine. It's totally fine to put down a pretty basic framework. Put down one region, or one city, one region attached to that city, one legendary at the end of that. The whole point of the game is to go catch that legendary. You do it. Good job, players. You did it. Victory screen. And then campaign 2. Start playing campaign 2. You know, that's not bad. That's totally fine. So I don't know much about my custom region story. It's more so prep for the rest of the campaign, which is all the meat. Yeah. I just assume that each region is a lot. Each region is just a whole charts, a whole pile of charts and a whole bunch of maps, small maps, and like the same as any game. There's going to be a region you've got to plan out challenges, you've got to plan out NPCs, you've got to plan out rewards. And if you've got 10 of those, you have to do that 10 times over. And then you have to think about, like, how my player is going to go from A to B. What if they decide to cheat and go to C instead? There's just a whole lot of planning that even veteran DMs get overwhelmed by. And it's, yeah. If you can pull it off, more power. PPG team is a fan-made team made from a Pokemon YouTuber I watch. It's not something you made? Race a glass to Ozzy. If you're like, if this is a fan made team, if the BBG is a fan made team, but it's something that like someone else has prepped, and you can just reuse their prep, or is this something where it's like this is inspired by someone else's thing? They haven't made this for a TTRPG, but I want to make it for a TTRPG. Because in the first case, that's easy. You just reuse their prep and you're good to go. In the second case, though, that's even more burden on you, which is everyone only has a finite amount of effort, a finite amount of creativity and energy, and like we eventually we fall asleep, and eventually we get tired, and it is important to pace yourself and to know your limits. And if you over prepare, if you make too much content, that does, even if you manage to finish it all, that doesn't guarantee that you'll have the energy to actually run it. So the more you sign yourself up, the more you're taxing yourself. So you just be careful that you're not overtaxing your mental capacity. That is a huge problem that veteran DMs run into, where I've got so much to prep that it just kills me. I just can't run the game because that's one of the core complaints I have against the official hardcovers. In order to prep a hardcover, the ones you buy from Wizards of the Coast, you have to read the entire book to properly prep. If you just want to prep the first session, you need to read the entire book, because the book is structured in a way where if you read chapter 1 is going to refer to things in chapter 4. Chapter 4 is going to refer to things in chapter 5. Chapter 1 also refers to chapter 2. It also refers to the rules in Appendix C, Appendix D. It also assumes that you know everything that goes on in chapter 7 and chapter 8, so that you can properly foreshadow that. It doesn't tell you. It just assumes you know that. So in order for you to run the book, you have to read the entire book. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. And I hate it. And that's one of the reasons why I like running homebrew games, is I don't have to prep chapter 8 to run the first session of my brain, because I don't have to do that. Did I miss from the Wi-Fi issue? What did I miss? Oh, I was asking, is the BBG that you're making, is that something that the YouTuber you're getting it from is used for a TTRPG and you're reusing it, or is that something you're making from scratch? I shouldn't say from scratch. Is that something where you have to design all the mechanics and figure out how they work and all that? This is up from my head. I'm total noob when it comes to the inner workings of DMing. It sounds extreme. Yeah. I mean, we can only do so much before our brains melt. Finite amount of effort. At some point, you say. There's also a point where, at some point, if you put in enough effort into a work, you might as well just start selling that work. If you are capable of putting in enough effort to make a professional, to reach the tiers of professional product, you might as well just sell it, you know? And once you reach that point, then you're better than me. Okay, so don't ask for my opinion, because your opinion matters more than my opinion at that point. If you can sell a product, I defer to you on finding the effort to make that product. Not a TTRPG, they made two main characters and the concept of the BBG teams. I'm trying to adapt it into an evil team. How their goal works. Something, I made stuff made up because they don't know it themselves. Okay. It's, yeah. That's fine. It's fine to make it for your, to homebrew up the parts that are missing for yourself. I was just previously saying, just don't sign up for more than you're able to, because we all have limits, and if you run past those limits, you might run into a situation where even if you can prep the entire game, even if you can prep the entire campaign, you may not have the energy to run it by the time you get there. Unless you're a pro, unless you're a professional, unless you're selling this for money, then, you know, I think money changes the equation. Changes the equation in a way that's beyond me. Pop back in for a smoke break, right? Gonna get into this game now. All right, have fun. Have a good time. I have lost the plot on this. I think I was saying something about, is this fun for the players if you adjust the prices of stuff? Only in the sense that, like, if they can trick you or if they can exploit a bug, maybe. How do you make an economy fun for the players? An economic system fun for the players? And there are games that focus around economic activity. I was just playing one yesterday, Let Them Trade. That's a game about building a network of trade. Like, I like that. That's fun. The core of an economic game is similar to the core of an RPG. Growth. Here's an economy. It starts small. It gets bigger. When it gets bigger, we have fun. We enjoy that because we're winning. Like, I had 50 gold yesterday. I invested it in this thing, and this thing has given me 100 gold. Whoa, I have 100 gold now. Okay, what if I take that gold and I invest it? Okay, now I have 300 gold. Okay, and also, now we've just unlocked, like, this forge that can print swords really fast. So now we have unlimited swords, and there's, somewhere over there is buying swords. Okay, that's how I imagine fun in an economic game. It's at its core, it's still about growth, but it's growth of economic power versus in an RPG where it's growth of the characters. So we can capture that in this. We can capture that in D&D if we give the players more levers to pull on an economic system. If we're just designing something that happens behind the screen and the players are just on the receiving end of it, it's not fun. I don't think there's any way to make that fun. But if we design something where the players are able to, like, they can throw 500 gold coins at a village and completely ruin the economy, or completely transform the economy, or they can affect the world in substantial ways. Maybe that's fun for the players. My idea for prep right now is making the maps one by one, starting with the world map and then drawing individual ones for each region, with basic scenes remade from the games as a general stance. Hold them aside from when they are needed and import, and then swap them out depending on the region. If you're building a world, yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I have a league gym system in my region yet, because you're just building the entire world. The more you can reuse work, the better for your sanity. That's if you're not inspired to change it, just use what's from the base games. That's what I would recommend. If you are inspired to come up with your own thing, yeah, come up with your own thing. But if you're not sure, focus on the cool parts. Focus all of your inspiration on the cool parts. Let everything else be supporting that. One region don't got gyms, they got something else entirely. Every other game got gym systems and leagues. That region does have a league, though. Well, wait a minute, though. Where are the players starting? Do they get to choose any region? Because that could be a problem. If you have a group already, that's fine, never mind. But if you're making this world and then you're gonna pull together a group, they have to decide which region they're gonna start in. Is that gonna be something they can do? Because, like, I've harped about this before. If you're a game developer and you give the player a choice, and you haven't really given them the tools to make that choice, what choice should they be making? Like, you can pick any region here. Which one do you pick? Like, you have to be able to give the players everything they need to know to make an informed choice. That is a lot, and also maybe you don't want to give them that information, like, because you might end up revealing something that maybe it'd be more fun if that was discovered at the game table rather than before the game starts. They choose their region they're from and 1 or 2 months to start with from that region. Group of 4 will be introed, traveling by boat to custom region. Oh, okay. So they're starting in your custom region. So you actually only need to prep your custom region. That may be what you said, and I misinterpreted. You said world map. Okay. Because if they're going to a custom region, you just need to draw the custom region. And if you're deciding where they start, it's a lot easier for you to measure out where they can go. And also, you're not ending up in a situation where you're like, all right, players, where do you want to start? Let's start in section 3. No, I want to start in section 6. And then the two players fight because they want to start in different areas. And it's like, flip a coin. Flipping a coin. Okay. back to D&D. If we are working on an economy and we want to make this something that the players can interact with, something they can affect, one of the levers that a player has is they can spend money. Spending money affects the economy. If the players are outsiders, if the characters are outsiders to that economy normally. So like, characters show up at a village. Village doesn't normally have adventurers, but these adventurers have 5,000 gold on them, and maybe the village doesn't have 5,000 gold worth of anything because it's a village, it's poor. And so if the players spend their money, that will very drastically affect that village, and it could raise prices, it could draw attention to the village, it could do things, inspire investment, it could spur it could spur importing things from other villages into this village, it could spur crime, it could cause things to happen. That's a lever. That's okay. That's not really enough to build a game off of. We an economic game off of specifically. We want to give the players opportunities to spend their money in ways beyond just like shocking the local economy, because a game is more than one lever. Well, except for those games that are just pull a lever and that's the game. Besides those, spending money to make money, spending money to spur production of something. The idea is that the players can come in. There's an existing economy. There's a village. Maybe it's known for making one or two things. The players can come in and change that. They can make it known for making something else, spending money. And doing that should have effects on the market that the players can enjoy or suffer if they do a thing. So let's imagine, what if we had a economic system where players get the option. Let's use the Bastion rules because they exist already, and I don't want to have to think about this. The players could get, at level 5, they get a Bastion. They can put their Bastion in a city or in a village. If they put it in a village, they can spend money on their Bastion for like market. I think there are Bastion facilities that are like, this facility crafts, and they're not in the basic rules, I'm pretty sure, but let me just double check. It would be so cool if they were, and they're not. It's totally fair. Bastion, you put it in your village, you spend 500 gold on like producing high quality bottles or producing herbs or whatever. And then that affects the price of everything in that village. It makes healing, like, let's just say it makes healing potions cheaper, it makes everything else more expensive. Because the player did that, it's fun. The player enjoys that more, versus if the DM says, okay, the players, you arrive at this village, blah's cheaper, blah's more expensive. Not as fun. If the DM does it, not as fun. If the player does it, yeah. And then to be an economic game, we need to not just stop there. We need to build up on that. So, okay, we make high quality glass bottles at our Bastion. Healing potions are cheaper. The players need an option to exploit that. Like, we can make high quality I don't know, bananas. We can take in healing potions and we can make bananas out of them, and then we can sell them for way too much money if we go to this one region that really loves bananas and has too much money. Um, saying all that, how do we get there? Making all of that work. Oh. Each region also got a professor. This may be 1 and 2 with the BBG. Team 1 and their own. These true stories of old myths and legends. The threat other legends myth from the home one. There's a gimmick known as Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing Mons, as well as Mega Evolution and Z moves. PTU has no rules for these, but I would Dynamax be smaller because of Gen 3 legends. Mega Z moves would be way more often from both sides. There's a lot of Pokemon lore there. That's stuff you don't have to plan. That's stuff that already exists. So there's not burden on you. Okay. So to make this economic system that I just invented off my head work, we need to have structure that allows us to make economic moves that are reliant on economic moves. So like, what if we had, let me just back up here, create a Google Doc. Brilliant. Economic engine idea. Bastion facility. And this is a note for me to say, are there Bastion facilities that can do this? That we can work into this and use those instead of making our own. But let's say we have the ability. The players can build a factory thing. And they can tell it to make, I'm going to just throw out 4 things as an example. Glass bottles, horse shoes, leather gloves, what's a thing? Ropes. Okay. 500 gold. If they do, it affects the local economy. It makes some things cheaper and more expensive. And then, and this is where the game design juice goes. That I'm out of juice right now, so don't expect anything fancy, but like, and then the players can use these to make further things. So like, if you're making a lot of glass bottle production can be used to make bananas. Horseshoe production can be used to make swords. No. Roofs. Leather gloves. Production can be used to make roses and all of that and so on and so forth. And these are options that we make available to the player. And we tell them, okay, you spend your money, you get glass bottles. It does things. You can keep spending your money to do this next thing. And then etc. If they do, it affects the local economy and makes some things cheaper and some things more expensive. And then we keep rolling, keep on going. We do this for 50 pages, and then we sell this as a product on D&D Beyond for $20. Here's the thing. You can use its rules to make economic activity a thing in this game. Wow. Let's go back to the potion of healing. Would that be more fun? Depending on how well you do that. Absolutely. But the thing is, any amount of time that the players are spending on economic activity is time that they're not playing D&D. D&D has strengths, Dungeons and Dragons, and playing to those strengths is generally advisable, and spending time trading salt, trading chalk, trading bananas. None of those are Dungeons or Dragons. And is this game that we're making, is this economic game better than just going into a dungeon and stabbing a dragon? I'm not confident. That's not what the players came in the game for. The bosses I got a plan. Groudon, the Dino of Land, will be a volcano boss battle. Gotta destroy lava rocks in him to beat and then battle him. I wish to be bigger than Dynamax, Gigantamax gimmick. The rocks would be using Mons as a stand-in, so players can damage those pillars. We got a lot planned there. A lot has been planned. Yeah. And for this document, this can get very complicated very quickly. Very quickly. Insanely quickly. Because we can just, instead of 4 things, we can have 400 things. How many things are in the basic rules? Each one of these could be a basic economic. You build a factory, you affect the price of acid. You build a factory, you affect the price of bedrolls. You can pick anything from this list, and you can make this entire list. Put it in this document. And you can we've set up, there's 2 tiers in here. There's tier 1 and tier 2. You can have as many tiers as you want. We can make this endlessly complex. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. There's no end in sight to this thing that we've setting up ourselves to design. And well, that's just not good. That doesn't lead us to fun. That leads us to designing something, and then the players if they don't engage with it, great, we wasted our time. And if they do engage with it, how do we introduce them to the system? How do we get them pointed towards the next step? Like I can use Let Them Trade as an example because I just played that yesterday. At tier 1, you start with wood and potatoes. That's it. It's really easy to onboard when your economy is only 2 things. When your economy gets more complicated, when you add fish and wool and wheat and other thing, I can't remember, stone, that's 6 things. That was still tier 1 and Let Them Trade, but that's 6 things, dramatically more complicated. Then we're adding, there's another 6 things, and the wheat gets processed into flour, and flour gets baked at a bakery, and to bake it you need coal, and coal can be made from lumber or it can be mined, but to mine it you need to get it's an endless. You need stone tools, you need this, you need that, you need an economy, you have to build it up, you need trade, you need people working together, you need innovation, technology, you need a functioning the system to protect all that. One bandit comes in and steals all of your glass bottles, and all right, well, I guess there goes your economic advantage. Oh, yeah, it can get out of hand very fast, and we need to bring this to the table, and we need to put this in front of the players, and we need them to be able to cling on to it, and preferably cling on to it in a way that they still get to play D&D. Like, I don't think the average player wants to sit at a table and bring a D&D character to a table and then just sell a rope and net and buy maps and 10-foot poles, basic poisons, shovels, even if that's having like lasting effects on the economy, even if that's like this village is being transformed by the players, I don't think that's gonna land as well. And if you're playing D&D, your player experience with the economy is, you want to buy something, you go into the store and you buy it. Here's the price. It's this. Maybe you don't like that price. You can go to the DM, you give them the puppy dog eyes. Can I have it cheaper? Make a persuasion check, or make an intimidation check, or no, you can't have it cheaper. Get out. That's what the players expect. They just want to buy stuff and then go on an adventure. And there's not a lot of player attention span for more than that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of value in looking past the video gamey what's here in the book. The value is mainly in tickling the DM's brain, and maybe you could come up with something that the players really want to engage in and have a lot of fun with, but that comes at the expense of D&D. And people came to the table to play D&D. And maybe you have the kind of players that are like, we like playing D&D, but there's just too many dungeons and too many dragons, and we'd really like to have just a little bit of buying books and selling costumes and crowbars. We'd really like to have more of that in the game. And if that's the case, there could be value. Cooking up something similar to this, maybe something better than this. Give the players opportunities to spend their money, to make money. Give the players opportunities to spend money to transform the local economy. Give the players opportunities to use the economy to transform the economy. Maybe do something where, like, if the players get these 6 specific things in this one village and they bring enough money, the village will start making magic items. Maybe that can happen. That could be fun. For most of us, though, this page right here, this is all the economy you get. Yeah. I think that's all I have. I didn't miss anything. Oh, I had one other question that I see come up often, and this is a question from new players, and want to say it's a uh, divisive. What's the word? People disagreement. It spawns disagreements. I can't think of the word right now. Wow, it's just whatever. It's contentious. It spawns disagreements. DMPCs. So new players often ask this. Can I have a new? Can I do a DM? I'm going to do a thing. That thing is a DMPC. Can I do this? And my knee-jerk answer to this is always no. Don't do that. DMPCs are bad. Don't do it. The reason that this is a contentious topic, though, is because we need to define what a DMPC is and why they're bad, why you shouldn't do them. Because there's a thing in this game called the NPC. DMs can have NPCs. They're supposed to have NPCs. Every person that the DM is playing is an NPC. That's good. The DM running a PC is bad. The DM running an NPC is good. What's the difference? And just to be clear here, there's no like perfect delineation of where a DMPC ends and a DM NPC begins. So I have a rule of thumb that I use, and I'm sure other people have a rule of thumb that they use, and it's different. I'll get into what those are, and then I'll get into like what the core problem is. If your whatever you're doing runs into this core problem, that's a DMPC. Don't do that. And if you don't run into this core problem, you're good. But first, my rule of thumb for a DMPC: if the DM has made a character, they're using a character sheet, and they've made a character, and that character is in the party, and that character can gain experience, or that character gains levels. I consider that a DMPC. That's not the core problem, but if a DM has a character in the party, and that character is getting growth, that reads to me as that DM is trying to be a PC. That's bad. Other people might have a different definition of what a DMPC is. A DMPC is not. It's not my party. There's only 3 people in my party, and none of them are a healer. And I'm worried that the party doesn't have a healer, so I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna give them a healer. Okay, not a DMPC necessarily. If they're just there to fill in a gap that the DM is worried that the party has, but they don't. But that's all they do. They're not like gaining levels. They're not like. That's fine. That's not a problem. There is a system in, I think it's Tasha's, called sidekicks, that kind of fills that gap if the DM is in a situation where they're like, the party needs to have X, and none of the players have chosen to make a character that has X. You can give them a sidekick. Sidekicks are absolutely not DMPCs because the players run them. Sidekicks fill that gap in a way that an NPC could. I think sidekicks do it better, and I would recommend doing that instead. But putting an NPC in the party, that's like, this NPC translates languages, or this NPC is an archaeologist and the party needs one, or this NPC is a healer and the party needs a healer. Okay, that's not necessarily bad. DM NPCs, not necessarily bad. Let me give you what the core problem is. And if you cross this problem, that's bad. It doesn't matter what your definition of DMPC is or not. Here's the core problem. You're a DM. You know what's going on behind the screen. Players don't know what's going on behind the screen. Players are playing the game. They get what's called player agency to affect things. As a DM, you get DM agency. You get to decide the world. You get to decide what's happening outside of the players. But the players get to decide what's happening within the sphere of the players. If the DM exercises DM agency, that's fine. If the players exercise player agency, that's fine. If the DM exercises player agency, that's bad. That's wrong. That's what a DMPC is trying to do, and it's not doing. It should not be doing. If I would have a DMPC trainer, I would let the party together to choose which mons they got. They would grow with them too, and to be a rival trainer. Well, okay. If they're a DMPC, are they a PC or are they an NPC? And that's generally where like the disagreement, the miscommunication, where the problems come with this conversation. If you're making an NPC, that's fine. If you're making a PC, that's bad. And the difference is that DMPCs exercise player agency. DM NPCs exercise DM agency. What's the difference? The base loop of this game is that the DM describes what the players are feeling and experiencing and seeing and all of that. Then the DM asks the players, what do you do? And then the players decide what they do. When the DM is describing the world, that's DM agency. When the player are deciding what they're doing, that's player agency. That's kind of vague. That's what it is in a nutshell, though. If the DM asks, what do you do? And then they start to answer their own question, that's a problem. That's the DM intruding on player agency. Why is that a problem? That's a problem because the DM knows the world. They know everything that's going to happen. They know everything that's going on behind the screen. They have to. They can change anything at will behind the screen. And players intrinsically don't know that. And if they did know that, it would ruin the game for them. And I think we all intuitively understand why that is. Like if a player looks behind the screen and they can see like, okay, behind this door is treasure. That makes the game less fun. The DM knows what's behind the screen. So they can't give themselves brain surgery and be like, okay, so what's behind that door? Like they know what's behind the door. So if they exercise agency like a player, that is less fun. That they've made the game less fun by doing that. There's one other metric that I would call out. I can't think of it right now. It just escaped me. Players, I don't know. Another thing I will say though is a hallmark of a DMPC is if the rest of the party, if the players decide, let's get rid of this guy. Can they get rid of this guy, or is the DM going to say, no, you can't? NPC, the party can kick out NPCs out of their party. That shouldn't affect anything. The DM should be able to cope with that. If the party kicks out a DMPC, is the DM going to be able to cope with that? And if the answer is no, then that's bad. That's a problem because boy, I just ran out of brain power all of a sudden. Oh, jeez. It's like they know the story already. Exactly. The DM can't be. They can't discover their own story. There is an energy between the DM is describing stuff and the players are exploring the world. The DM cannot explore their own world because they already they already know the world. Like there's nothing to discover. I discovered that I put a sword behind this door. Cool, great. I discovered that guy is actually lying to the party, and that is that they're secretly a shapeshifter or whatever. I discovered that the answer to this riddle is 7. Like you didn't discover anything. It's there's a sort of synergy between the DM and the players that creates a storytelling that neither of them can predict. So the DM says, "What do you do?" And then they take their hands up and they go, "Okay, it's the player's turn." And the DM does not know what the players are going to do. And likewise, the players, when it's their turn to act, they don't know what the results of their action will be. There might something might be obvious, like if we stab the king will get mad. Okay, sure, but like if you open the door, you don't know what's behind the door. You're going to discover that. So the players don't know. The players are making actions and they don't know. And this not knowing on both sides of what's going to happen drives the story in interesting directions in ways that without that, the story it's just like writing a book, which is it's not nearly as fun for the author to write a book as it is. It might be a different kind of fun, but the author is not discovering the story that they are writing. They are writing the story. And that's the magic of D&D. That's the magic of the player and the DM, and why the DMPC violates that. You put a DMPC into play, and that goes out the window. You have reduced the discovery of the game significantly. Do the contest task or whatever, but PCs don't also know the level and catch the mons off. The players will control this trainer in battles where they team up. I only know the starter mons. The rest mons will be other mons or gens. Party encounters are not used, maybe. I don't know. I have not played Pokemon in a long time, so I'm very unfamiliar with. I mean, I haven't played a tabletop of Pokemon, so I don't know what a good start is. I imagine that you could do it the same way the games do it, where it's like, here are some options, and whatever you pick, I will pick. This rival NPC gets whatever's optimal against you. Coincidentally, whoops, you picked fire? Oh, okay, I guess your opponent has water. That works well enough. There are also nicer rivals. In new games, they pick weaker types like grass and stuff. Well, they picked grass in every, like, because the grass beats water, and water is usually an option. There are also nicer rivals. I mean, the rivals can be nice, but your picks don't have to be. You could also do a thing where this isn't necessarily a good idea, but sometimes you could wing it. You could go, all right, here's some rivals. You don't know what Pokemon they have. Players, what are some guesses you think they have? And then the players, they might guess, and then they might come up with a good idea, and then you steal their idea. Oh, it'd be a real shame if they had, like, I can't think of a good it'd be a shame if they had Yampers. Oh no. Introducing the rival that only has dog Pokemon. Could do that for the wild mons because their starter is fixed. It's part of their character arc. Their starter is fixed. Is that how the game is? I thought the starter wasn't fixed. They have region-specific mons aside from the starter. Could do that for their party. Okay. Oh, the rival trainer is fixed. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm out of water. Oh boy. All right. I don't think I had any more thoughts on DMPCs. It's generally not like a complicated topic because there's broad consensus that the bad kind of DMPCs are bad. The only contention is what is a DMPC, and it's kind of hard to. There's no clear delineation of like, well, this is an NPC and this is a PC because it really depends on how the DM is playing them, and it depends in a way that's very difficult to just describe scientifically or like technically or precisely. Is the DM exercising player agency? What is player agency? Well, the player agency is anytime the players do a thing that the DM doesn't have control over. And it's like, okay, well, these definitions are getting very abstract very quickly, and it also seems like the kind of thing where like, well, what if the DM has a DMPC, but they never exercise agency? They just stand there and they do whatever the party wants them to do. But they're DMPC. They're gaining experience. They're if the party asks them, what should we do? They answer like, okay, is that a DMPC? Well, it is a DMPC. Are they exercising player agency? Yeah, but only when the players ask them to. Is that bad? It's like you can dig deep and drill deep and find boundaries where like it gets complicated. It gets hard to think about. It's easy to just say don't do DMPCs, and most of the time don't do, like it's just a bad idea. It'll just ruin your game. The players will be like, well, what is going? This game stopped feeling like we were playing it. Now it feels like the DM is playing with themselves. Okay. That's we don't want that. That's bad. Bad. Don't do it. Do you want to find a situation where I have a DMPC, but I'm doing them in such a way that like it doesn't break the game somehow? Do you want to hunt for that situation to find it? You can try. Is it even worth trying at that point? Like, it's just play it safe. Use NPCs. Don't use DMPCs. PCs can choose something from where they come from, or the actual starter like Mon, or something. The optional alt starters based on typings. But for me, the first and maybe second Mons would be something from the home region, and then after that, it's HP Mons for the new region. They can use 3 to 6 Mons, but they have teams of 6 and swap the Mons these out freely. It makes sense. All makes sense. Rolling on. Do you have a specific date you want to start this game? Do you I find that helps to motivate a lot when it comes to planning. When you have like I want to start this game in 3 Fridays from now, because when when you don't have a time to start, when you don't have a time that you plan on actually running the game, I don't know, it feels really easy to be like, I'll just plan this little stuff. I'll do the meat and the potatoes later. And then later never comes. But if you have a start date in time, if you're like, I'm going to start this game in 3 weeks, you're on a clock. That gets the creative juices going. None at all? You can always set yourself one and then decide, wait, I'm not ready, and then change your mind. It can only help you to set yourself a time that you're like, all right, this is the day that I put out feelers, start recruiting people. You don't know your players yet? Yeah, I mean, you can get players whenever. That is entirely in your hands. And there's no rush. You can always be like, I'll start a game in 6 months, and then if I set myself set up like that, I will stop planning. I'm gonna run this game in 6 months. Cool. That means I don't have to plan anything for 5 months. Versus like, I'm gonna run this game next week. Guess what I'm doing this week? Nothing but prepping that game. Or panicking. There might be some panic involved because, whenever you're prepping a game, there's always a little bit of panic because you're like, what if X happens? But what if I don't know if I've prepped this right? Who knows what's going on here? I don't know what the players are gonna do. I need to prep everything, and yeah, there's some chaos. There's always some chaos in prep, and some panic. The scale of this game is nuts. Mega brutalism architecture on Mars nuts. Big architecture. Let's see. I didn't have any other questions. It's there new players ask new questions all the time, but it's the same questions that I've already answered, and I don't know if I want to revisit the topics willy-nilly. If someone asks me, like, can you talk more about giving out magic items? Like, yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. But I don't know. There's always more to say on a subject, but it's not always interesting to revisit a subject. So there's only so many subjects, and then I don't know, talk about what the best currency is, and why is it electrum pieces, and why do electrum pieces in this game, and why does nobody use electrum pieces even though it's the best currency? And why is its value half of a gold piece? Well, obviously because an electrum piece is one silver piece and one gold piece blended together. Well, half of a silver piece and half of a gold piece blended together. And so the value rounds out. Why? That's why. So immersive. I think this is by the same dudes that made Still Wakes the Deep. I don't know that game. But sounds cool. For Mecha Stones and Focus Stash or whatever magic items for mods, I think be more like clothing options if table goes looking for them, or spend a good penny for custom things like that. Is the party going to know that they can go looking for things like that? Because I don't think that's like... I don't actually know how it works in the RPG, but in the video game, you get items. You stumble upon items. You don't go looking for them. Unless you're using a guide. But then players should not be using a guide. They will, yes. Art is a Lovecraftian FPS set on an oil rig. Can recommend. Sounds good. May not get it instantly depending on how custom or just clothing, but they'll get it in the next session or two after. If it's something that the players know that's how that works, then yeah, that works. If you asked me what items do I want, I would have no idea. If there's like a list or something, that's fine. But if it's just like, what items do you want? You can ask for literally anything. I would just, can I have a stone that makes my Pokemon invulnerable for 3 turns? The first 3 turns of combat? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to ask for. Because I feel like the items in the video games don't have any balance at all. Like, some items are just insane, and some items are like, this Pokemon can't be put to sleep on Tuesdays. Okay, I sure I'll put this on if I have nothing better. Items will be in shop or some rando shop house for custom stuff to hold Mega Stones and Z-Move Stones. It's all about discovery. It's all about the pacing. Enjoy it. Enjoy building that stuff. That is what being a DM is all about. Once they have those abilities unlocked from an NPC, they're mon after like 4 NPC, 4 to 8 gyms. 4 to 8 gyms? How many gyms are you planning on going through? I assume getting through a gym is like an entire session on its own. Maybe multiple sessions, depending on how complicated you make. I know, like, what am I trying to think of? I guess if you do a gym like in Sword and Shield, they it's just a couple of battles, a couple of puzzles, and then you have the boss fight, or the boss trainer fight. Can you get through that in a session? Probably one session, but if you have 8 gyms, that's 8 sessions right there. Only home regions needed to rest are optional for each region. Well, yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean, like, if you plan 5 regions and each region has 8 gyms, that's 40 gyms that you're planning. That's 40 sessions of content. You can't make that much content and then not use it. You have to use your prep. Miss working out with my bro. Used to smash the wits listening to Metallica. Don't work out anymore. Yeah, me too. I gotta work out as well. There's like a sweet spot weather-wise here for working out, where it's like during the winter it's too cold. During the summer it's too hot. And we don't have space inside to work out, so we'd have to do it like in the garage or outside. And there's no heater outside. There's no. We have a fan, but one fan does not. It's not a big fan. It's not enough. Gyms will also scale with players, and for those who do contests, there will be a session after each gym, and then a finale. Yeah, that's a lot of sessions. That's a lot of sessions. Prefer the cold? We are opposites. I like the heat. I can't stand the cold. But the midpoint between them is ideal. Cold and heat. Best for working out. Basically, once they complete the home region, every gym they take on will use gimmicks for the gyms and leagues. I mean, that's great. Gimmicks, keeping the gyms fresh is important, because you don't want to run into a situation where you're like, here's the electric gym in this region and the electric gym in the next region, and they're the same. They're not exactly the same, but they're structurally the same. You know, players will be like, we've already done this. Salaman Real Brother. Gimmicks being mega C moves and stuff, but different mons and strats. I mean, you can, whatever it takes. You can have the craziest gimmicks if you want. You can have, in this gym, everything is underwater. You have to fight underwater, and like introducing the breathing rules for underwater. Or in this gym, it's in the sky. It's a sky gym. Is there a game that has a sky gym? I don't know. To get to this gym, you must have wings and fly, or use this jetpack that we handily provide all the trainers. The jetpack is you have to rent it, and you have to pay for the fuel. I may have one puzzle for each gym like the games, but I don't know. There's a fan game with a sky gym I'm playing right now. He's a fan to get to it. Yeah, whatever it takes. Rune World? I mean, whatever gym you come up with, it's got to have a gimmick. After the first time you do that gym, the first psychic gym can just be, yeah, here's what's the ghost tea? What's the I can't remember the name of the is that even a psychic? That's a ghost type. That's not a psychic type. What am I talking about? Never mind. I'm just gonna stop. And then the second psychic gym is just Abras, and you don't fight the Abras. You have to catch the Abras, and the Abras are trained specifically to hide. So completely different. Keeping it fresh. Oh, but the thing is, like I was saying earlier, if you prep something, you have to use it. It's not fitting to prep like 40 gyms and then not use them. You will go insane. You can't prep something and then not use it. That is the road to the DM going insane. It's totally fine to prep something and then the players don't get to it, because of course players don't get to it. You can't predict what players do. Players, if you plan the world, the players are going to be like, let's go to the moon. And then they're going to teleport to the moon. And you're going to be like, why did I give them this teleport thing? I'm an idiot. Okay. It's okay to take the world and move it to the moon. It's okay. They skipped this dungeon? What do you know? The dungeon is on the moon. You don't know that it wasn't there. You recycle the stuff you prepare and the players don't use. You can absolutely do that, and you should do that, because not using your prep will make you go insane as a DM. For the legendaries and mythicals that can catch, the more abundance or smaller ones in every main or big ones can be befriended with one of the 4 players. Plus 4 other legends, or the 4th if it's quad mons. Teleport move has always been a lot of no travel places they've already been, but it's a more end game move. Has there been a Pokemon game that goes to the moon? If the answer is no, that's where your players are going to want to go. Just saying. They might be joking. They might say it as a joke, but just be advised. Gen 3 makes go to space. Well, space is it's fine. If the players go to space, you can just be like, cool, you're in space now. There's nothing here. Why are you here? I mean, you could say that about the moon, too, I suppose. In the post-game Delta episode. It's yeah. Whatever you prep, the players will not do. They will do their own thing, and that's just how it is. And then you get to improvise and reuse your prep, hopefully. Reusing your prep, very important. Improvising, very important. The less if you prep less than the players when they go off the rails, it's likely that they'll go off the rails, but it's also like something that you can kind of anticipate better. If you have 4 regions prepped and the players are like, let's go to this 5th region, it's harder to transfer to that than if you're like, there's this one region, you can go there, and the players are like, let's not go there. Well, it's easier to mentally shift to a 2nd region. Just because you have less on your brain, less in your notes. Logistically easier. I'll have puzzles in part to the ultimate boss battle before. They will be able to battle them to get them on their side or whatever. All right, well, I'm out of water, and that is a sign to where I must go and get more. And that's where I'll stop here. I had one more topic that I wanted to discuss for next time, but I can't remember it. I should have written it down. Something that I want to... I remember now. It's about death. Player death. How do you handle player death? I should write that down. How do you handle... I shouldn't say player death. That's a different topic. I should say character death. I don't know how to handle player death. That's a very heavy topic. Therapy. Rituals. Tradition. Following the traditions. Reminiscing. Character death, though. I could talk about that. How do you handle character death? How do you make that fun? I shouldn't say fun. How do you make that land? How do you make the players enjoy the game? Hard topic. We'll talk about more next time. Player death won't be a thing, but Pokemon may be a Nuzlocke where they are gone for the family. Well, I'm talking about D&D. I don't know about Pokemon. I don't think Pokemon never die in the games because death is a forbidden topic in Pokemon in the official games. Like, that's just the market for Pokemon. Doesn't have death. Nuzlocke Nuzlocke isn't official. Like, I mean, if you do want to do a Nuzlocke game, then I think that might be a little bit too difficult for a first time, because you have to make sure that you balance everything out so that the game is enjoyable for the players at that point. And that's exponentially harder. um, 'Cause you can easily make the game to where like players never really die. Not the Pokemon never really faint. They never die. You can make that. That doesn't help at all. That doesn't make the game fun. You can make it to where every fight there's like a 50% chance that one of the players' Pokemon dies. Is that fun? That might be a bit too much. You know, the players might get a little chafed by that. You need to find the precise difficulty to where some proportion of the players' Pokemons are dying, but not enough. Not enough to chafe the players. And finding that is difficult for veteran DMs to do, let alone new DMs. So I would be cautious about that. Would be fun, but I don't know, fun for a first game that's all right this big. Yeah, every boss they could lose them on. I mean, yeah, any fight they could lose them on. There's always those Pokemon that have like this has a 5% chance of KOing a Pokemon. You get into a fight with that, you get unlucky, boom, instant. Boom, fissure, instant. Boom. I know there's others. I don't know the KO moves. I don't know the moves very well. One hit moves, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, next time I'm gonna talk about death. How to make it land. That's it for me. I'm gonna go get some water. Oop. Alrighty. Thanks y'all for watching. Hope you had fun. Hope this was fun. Good luck with your game, Red. Cheers to seeing it come at the table. Hope you find some great players too to run it, or to run it for. Finding good players is harder than it sounds. It always is. Recruiting is always fun. Yeah, have fun with the prep and all that, and hope this advice was helpful for those watching, and go run some good games. All right, I'm out. See you all later.